How one of the best players in the world is still today trophyless. National team captain, captain of a former club, recurrent Golden Boot winner, highest goal scorer for his country, goal and assist maestro, among the top 10 most lethal forwards of the last decade. The man, the myth, the legend, Harry Kane. Just how good is the forward? On paper, Harry Kane's stats look like something out of FIFA career mode. He captains a national team stacked with stars in all corners, and has scored 62 goals to sit atop the pile of great names to represent the Three Lions. For the bulk of his career, Kane played in the EPL, arguably the best, most competitive league in world football. And not just played, but damn near broke the record to become the highest goalscorer in its history. Before his transfer to Bayern Munich, he was up to 213 goals, just 47 shy of the record holder Alan Shearer on 260 goals. Between 2010 and 2023, when he left, Kane consistently produced 19 more goal contributions than anyone else in the league. And despite moving to a new league in a different country with a different language, the Englishman has barely slowed down. In terms of sheer ability and consistency, few are as good as Harry Kane. However, for all his prowess and lethality in front of goal, Kane has struggled with one overhanging dark cloud throughout his career: zero silverware. Of trophy aversions and horrible luck. The popular sentiment around Harry Kane being trophyless at 30 is that he's cursed. Other schools of thought believe he's played for mediocre teams or has just been plain unlucky. I have a different theory we can all agree on though. He played for the wrong team for too long. For 9 full seasons of his life, he played for the trophy-averse team that is Tottenham Hotspur. Worse still, Spurs haven't been entirely abysmal. They just always seem to bottle it at the end, in worse fashion than their North London neighbours Arsenal. For example, Tottenham came close to ending their trophy drought, reaching the Champions League final in 2019. Even better, they played against a team they were used to, in Liverpool. Then came the bottling. The one time that Spurs needed their big, bad striker in front of goal, Kane played like his ankles were made of lasagna. For many critics, that was the worst performance of an otherwise illustrious career. To show just how badly he played, he had one miserable shot all match long. And to prove that Spurs could not be more trophy-averse if they tried, they conceded a penalty less than 2 minutes into the match. Some 2 years down the line, Tottenham stumbled into another final, led by none other than finals specialist Jose Mourinho. And what did Spurs do? They sacked the Portuguese manager mere days before the final and appointed a fresh-faced interim to face off against a vastly superior, league-dominating, Pep-led Manchester City team. The match ending 1-0 to Pep's team was a miracle in their favour because it could easily have been messier had City been more focused and at their best. If that wasn't bad enough, Spurs were in the Europa Conference League at the time and had the best win probability. It was one of the few times that they had more financial advantage than every opponent they faced, and they had a 30% chance of lifting the trophy. Yet the North London club were embarrassingly sent home in the group stages. They didn't even make it into the knockout rounds. In this case, the fault was all theirs. Kane had great numbers in the competition, 1.7 goals or assists per 90 minutes. The problem was that he only started 3 matches. Then, in a cruel twist of fate, their opponents with a 4.2 expected goals margin somehow turned that into 11 goals. Even in Tottenham's best season in the Premier League, when they outplayed just about every team in terms of statistics, Manchester City had to pull a 100-point campaign to dwarf whatever Spurs had to offer. It's almost as if every time the club has a decent chance of enjoying some glory, they encounter even worse ill luck. A personal curse? Perhaps. Although Tottenham appear to be the EPL's version of Leverkusen and Kane's exit felt like a breath of fresh air for his career, you start to notice a pattern when you look at the numbers. Spurs have their curse, yes. Who knows what god or goddess of metal and all things precious that they offended. Yet, outside of their influence, Kane continues to succumb to the same poor fortunes. This is where the narrative takes a turn. Are Spurs actually cursed, or were they simply an unknown participant in Kane's ill luck? Because on the international stage, Kane has not been successful either, but not from lack of trying. His first major tournament for the Three Lions was in the 2016 Euros. And wouldn't you just know it, the great England lost to Scandinavian underdogs Iceland 2-1. Then came the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Kane would go on to win the Golden Boot, but England were kicked out of the competition. Merely 5 minutes into the semi-final against Croatia, England scored. But they failed to produce another, as Croatia equalised in the dying minutes to force extra time, then scored the winner before the match could go to penalties. At Euro 2020, which was played in 2021 due to the global health crisis, Kane once again turned up with the goals. The Three Lions reached the final for the second time in the forward's career. England were 1-0 up again with the first shot of the game, but soon found themselves holding on for dear life, as Italy exerted continuous pressure to break down the Three Lions. An equaliser later was followed by a goalless extra time, which meant penalties. Although Kane buried his penalty kick and Harry Maguire did too, what followed next was the utter capitulation of England, as they failed to find the net for the next 3 penalties. Eventually, they lost to a better Italy side. Only a year and a half later, at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, England were touted as one of the favourites to win the competition. Then came the semi-final, England versus France. One golden generation versus the other. By the 84th minute, France were 2-1 up and conceded a penalty. Up steps Kane, arguably the most successful striker on the team to take the penalty kick. The one kick to take the match to extra time or capitalise on and win the match. What does he do instead? He relocates the ball to the moon. Experts say that the match ball is still in orbit to this day. For perspective, Kane has taken 73 penalty kicks in his career. He's converted 65 of them, had 5 saved, and only missed 3. Somehow, an 89% success rate meant squat when it really mattered. Finally, his move to Bayern Munich seemed like the goddess of luck was giving him a way out. He just had to sit pretty to win the league with the Bavarian Giants. They've only done it 11 times in a row since 2013. Kane has been prolific and easily the best player at Bayern this season. But guess what? In his first season at Bayern, that 11-year winning streak is over. Xabi Alonso took a relegation-bound Leverkusen, the original Neverkusen, to the league title with games to spare. You really start to wonder now, is Harry Kane really cursed?